Welcome back to the Gold Newsletter channel for a breaking news special. My name is Kai Hoffmann. I'm the @JR Mining Guy on Twitter and the CEO of the SOAR Financial Group. And together with Brien Lundin, I'm the host of the Gold Newsletter channel. And today we're welcoming back Tara Christie. She's president and CEO of Banyan Gold. If you've been following our channel, you've probably watched our video from 2 days ago with her, or yesterday, not yet 2 days ago, yesterday, because the company came out with a 1-2 punch. Met results yesterday and a massive resource upgrade today. And we'll be talking to Tara Christie about all of that right now, actually. Tara, wonderful good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us for another breaking news special. Lots of news.
Yeah, it's time to get telling the story because we've got a pretty exciting story.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, the news today, of course, you've announced a 7 million ounce resource update, mostly in the inferred category. Why don't you run us quickly through the highlight of the press release and the meaningfulness of the 7 million here?
So yeah, 7 million ounces, grade of 0.63. We used a 0.3 cutoff on all the deposits this year, and we've combined Aurex Hill into Powerline into one deposit, which simplifies things. We now have Powerline and we have Airstrip. All of the drilling was focused on connecting Powerline and also expanding to the east. So you'll see that now the Powerline deposit is almost 6.2 million ounces alone. Our last resource was 6.2 million ounces. We haven't focused on Airstrip with our drilling in the last few years, but looking at the grade of Airstrip at 0.85, it certainly is something that maybe we should revisit. But what's really important about this resource is that we've shown a higher range of cutoffs so that people can see the sensitivity to cutoff and see that there's, if you used a 0.5 or 0.6, we get 1 gram and almost 4 million ounces. So that's pretty important. We want people to see that there is a higher grade component with this. And yes, as we start to look at potentially drilling this out to measured and indicated first, this work that we've done gives us an idea of the spacing that we'll need to drill, as well as where those higher grade zones are. So, and remember, people said, well, why didn't you do it on this one? Well, we raised this money for the drilling that we did last year in December of 2022. And at that point, our commitment to our big shareholders was we're going to continue to grow this resource. And that's exactly what we've done. We've come back with a larger resource and still money in the bank from that financing to plan for a program in 2024.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, appreciate the update and the quick overview of the highlights. I have an educational question for you, Tara, before we continue, because I think it helps understand that my next question as well is you mentioned the cutoff, and there's one quote in your press release where you're saying, hey, at a 0.6 gram cutoff, there are potentially 4 million ounces at a grade of 1 gram. I think we need to explain that. How do you get from 0.6 to 1 gram, and what does cutoff really mean there? And maybe just explain that real quick.
So cutoff is the level of which you consider ore. So as you increase cutoff, you increase the amount of material that's under that cutoff that is considered as waste. So increasing your cutoff increases things like your strip ratio, but it does also mean that you only get the higher grade component of the deposit. So, when you look at different deposits and determine what type of mining method you use, you would change that cutoff to make it a more appropriate grade. But you've got the other trade-offs of whether you're looking at strip ratio, and that's an important consideration. So, we didn't want to, we have 3 processing options which are still on the table. We still have lots of work to understand how the network will relate to the deposit and where the higher grade zones are. So we didn't want to, presuppose a higher cutoff grade and, take away ounces until we really understand what portion of the deposits are potentially heap leach mineable, what portions might go to a mill, or maybe there's a combination of the mining processes that are the best for this project. And you really don't know that until you get to your economic study. So that's, cutoff grade is just and helps you kind of pinpoint what you think will be mined in this deposit at this phase. And we're still at an inferred resource stage, so early days. And but that gives us lots of opportunity to upgrade this deposit and really show the potential of it and the economic potential.
Stupid follow-up question potentially. So if it meets 0.6 grams the cutoff, And 1 gram is the average resource grade. Does that mean 50% is below that resource grade and 50% is above that resource grade? Can you average it out like that? Just really trying to simplify it and literally dumb it down.
I don't think it's quite that straightforward, because if you have 4 million and we've got 7 million ounces total, yeah, I guess
I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense. Okay.
I'm not
Okay.
sure that would, yeah.
We probably need to host a separate teach-in for that, especially for me. So I like those questions because when I do a site visitor, so that's the question I try to ask and
So
try
if
to
you look at
understand, of
our
course. So
3D model on our website, you'll be able to see where the material is for the 0.6, the 0.8 cutoff, because we thought that was a really good visualization. So you'll be able to see where the resource is that we've selected to highlight, and then how the mineralization changes as you change the cutoff grade.
perfect. Okay. Thanks for clarifying that, and thanks for humoring my question here as well. Um, where did you grow the resource? I know you mentioned you didn't really look at airstrip at all. So you only added at power line. Like, what did you do? Like, how much went into the new resource update here?
So under 25,000 meters. So when you look at an efficiency perspective, we had a lot of ounces per meter drilled. I think that's over 40 ounces per meter drilled. It was important. Previously we had 3 deposits, connecting those 2 to make power line 1 continuous deposit. When you're looking from a mining perspective, which, as we work down the road towards an economic study and do some scoping studies, we'll start to look at not just the inferred geological pits, but where you would actually mine under various different scenarios. And, as much as high grade's really important and understanding where the higher grade zones are, also understanding the mining pits and how they superimpose over the higher grade areas, and like where your phase 1 mining areas would be that you would maybe want to demonstrate if there's higher grade in, is really valuable. So, there's a few steps, and it's a very iterative process, between, developing your resources, deciding where to drill out, and then also looking at it from the mining perspective and combining it with the metallurgy. So there's lots of work to be done, and that's really where there's a huge value add that's going on behind the scenes.
Just one last question, Tara, here as well. Like you touched on it in a previous answer, but I would just want to clarify. Like, what does it take now to increase the confidence in the resource? You're in the indicated category, 7 million, nothing to sneeze at. But of course, if you want to take it to pre-feasibility stage or feasibility stage or even mineability stage, you need to upgrade the confidence in the resource. Like, run us quickly through the steps, what you need to do.
So just to clarify, we're inferred. You'd said indicated there. The indicated would be the next step. And then generally when you get to the actual feasibility stage, you get to what's called a reserve. And so every step in increasing confidence is a denser drilling. And then you have more information. There's less gaps between the drill holes. Right now, the majority of our holes that are 100-meter spacing. And what a QP does when they're determining whether it's inferred or indicated is they look at what's called the geostatistics and what confidence they have in the resource. So that's one of the real values that we have out of this huge data set we have now, is we can see this is a very robust deposit. It's remarkably consistent. And we've gone back to our QP and discussed, what do we need to do to move this to indicated in terms of spacing? Because that makes a big difference in how many drill holes and what it's going to cost to move it forward. So we're working through those plans and understanding if we want to do that this year, what would the spacing be? Where would we put those holes? And that's iterative too, because we want to make sure that we're adding shareholder value to the most possible extent. And so it takes a bit of work to run through those scenarios.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, massive 2 milestone news here the last couple of days. Of course, as investors, we're always greedy. When can we expect the next news release, Tara? And what can we expect next from Banyan?
Oh, I'm not giving away all the secrets, Kai, but we're working hard with some more info for our shareholders and how we're going to deliver value. So stay tuned, and it's going to be a busy marketing season. There's some conferences and events coming up, which you always want to go into with a few things that are new. Check out our new presentation on our website. We've got some new slides which really show some comparables of how this deposit, both from a metallurgy perspective, scale, and grade, compares with others. So yeah, stay tuned, Kai. We got a plan, and we certainly are pretty committed to adding value for our shareholders. And I'm a big equity holder, so it matters to me.
Absolutely, yeah. As I said before, 7 million ounces is fantastic. In a very short period of time, you've reached that goal. Um, Maybe one last question: like, what's your ultimate goal in terms of ounces? Have you reached the limit, or do you want to? Like, I've asked you this before, Tara, and I know that. I was like, what's the goal? Is it 8 million? Is it 10 million? The sky's the limit, obviously, but like, what's the end goal? Maybe, like, just to sort of wrap up the conversation here.
Well, the end goal is to get an economic project and, have a positive long-term contribution in the Yukon, both to the community as to my shareholders. So that's the end goal, and how we get there. Number of ounces, it really is dependent on the market and what shareholders want to see, what potential acquirers or what would be needed to move this project forward into permitting. That's more of a driver than a total number of ounces. I think people can see power line and airstrip are open, not only east and west and to the south, but at depth. And that's, unexplored potential. The deepest part of the pit is now 200 meters. So, stay tuned, Kai, because this is a very large deposit and we haven't even found where the intrusion is yet. So this belt too, we're making new discoveries in it. So pretty exciting times in the Yukon.
Absolutely. Tara, humor me with one very last question here, real quick. You're sitting at a 94 million market cap right now, and to 7 million ounces out, yes, it's in the inferred category. Do you regret ever putting a resource out, or should you have kept everything to yourself and let the market do its calculation?
That was a different time. I don't, looking back and having regrets, you can learn some lessons, but we're here now. When we were starting, people didn't have a lot of confidence in the deposit. It was hard to get market traction back in 2019, 2020. We sort of needed the milestone resource to get attention in that market. Every market's different, every time is different. So looking at where we are now, we've got a pretty exciting path forward, and having a resource gives credibility. And that's one thing that Banyan really tries to do. We make commitments to our shareholders, we follow through on it, and we deliver results. We are trying to be credible, do things right, and show that, with a resource, you're showing that you've actually taken the time and got a independent QP to run the numbers for you. You're not just relying on the market and the hype. And, I think that's actually important. I really would love to see this move forward as a real project. And there aren't very many, 1 in 10,000 actually move forward. Not very many get this large. So it's pretty exciting times, Kai, and we're here now. And so how do we get to the next level?
Perfect. No, fantastic. Thanks for humoring my questions today, Tara. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on for this breaking news special here. Again, nice 1-2 punch here from Banyan Gold. Congratulations. We'll definitely catch up, of course, soon. Can't wait to discuss the next steps here with you on the Gold Newsletter channel with you, Tara. Thank you so much, and to everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this breaking news special. Thanks for following along. If you haven't done so, please leave a like if you enjoyed this conversation. It helps us get some feedback from you. Do you like the questions we ask? Do you like the content that we produce? And of course, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel. It is much appreciated. We'll be back with lots more company content, of course, and lots more interviews. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with more. Thank you.